Hey, welcome back. We've got another episode of the Overland Bonfire podcast for you this morning. And I say this morning because it is way earlier than we normally record, but we have a very special guest with us today. So Keith is here. He's been in town for the weekend. Actually, got a cool video coming up with his truck. He got some really awesome truck vault drawers that we kitted out. And I'll bury the lead a little bit, but be on the lookout for that because Keith does a lot of traveling with a lot of gear, stuff like that. So, Keith, you want to tell us a little bit what you do? You spend a lot of time on the road, stuff like that, just kind of a little bit of an intro, and then we'll dive in from there.
Yeah, I spend about 200 days a year on the road in a truck.
Yeah.
And that's driving 2 matches. I shoot guns for a living, so I travel the country and do a little bit in the design process, but for the most part, go to matches.
Yeah.
Shoot matches as a competitive shooter, and then I also try and when I'm at a match, I try and support the other competitors there. I'm fortunate I work for MDT, Modular Driven Technologies. They make a whole lot of accessories for mostly bolt action rifles, bipods, chassis, and so forth, magazines, and cool levels, and really neat stuff. But what I end up doing is, if someone has a problem in a match, let's say, I don't know, they drop their rifle and break something, I have support gear to try and help support them. So that's all tough to fit into one little truck.
You have a lot of gear and a lot of backup gear. And just it is so, because Keith is very modest. He is one of the top long-range shooters in the world and has been doing it for a really long time. Like, how many, you've been on the road for probably... previous to MDT, even like you've been competitively shooting for decades.
Yeah, for a long time. I've shot more matches and more precision rifle matches than anybody in the world.
Yeah, and
cool.
he used to be a professional fisherman, and not like offshore, like you actually sport fished for.
I bass fished for probably the 20 years before that,
and won like a bazillion bass boats.
14?
14. Not nice. Bazillion, but 14.
Yeah.
14 is a number, I guess, right? So
some were nicer than others.
Right.
Some were,
went from competitive traveling as a competitive fisherman, now travel a lot as a competitive long range rifle shooter.
I get to meet a lot of great people all around the country.
Yeah. So Keith was actually in town for a big rifle match that's about an hour from us. So he got to stop by and we got to work on his truck and hang out with us for a little bit before and after.
And that video should be out in a couple weeks, but no, it was really cool. We do a lot of stuff kitting out trucks, or we build stuff, or somebody comes and kind of does a walk around, but it's almost always like recreational off-road travel. But where Keith is doing a lot of miles with a very gear intensive situation, but at the same time, he has the same like needs there, like just convenience and food and snacks and first aid. So it's kind of cool to see those parallels. I think folks will enjoy that video. And I will also say that like the truck vault drawers are super nice, like really well built, really optimized for space, and our products, like just between measurements and the fact that they have a lot of Velcro surfaces. Yeah. So it was really cool to see how we get that kitted out. I'm curious to see what after you get some miles of that setup, what you think. So.
And your truck is a 2020
23, I think.
23 Chevy 2500 with a smart cap on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And truck bolt drawers in it, and now a bunch of our stuff.
And now a bunch of your stuff. And the thing is, as much traveling as I do, I really didn't know how to organize all that stuff, or I didn't have a system or understand what a system is for that.
Yeah.
Because my system was put the gear you need in there and figure out how to go, because you're always on the road. Like, it's just,
you're home for a few days and then all of a sudden you're leaving again.
Gone for 5, home for a day and a half to load and restock. And restock isn't going through everything to see what you need. It's like, I'll throw another box of stuff in here
and roll on
and keep going. And then when you need something, you don't even know what all's in there. And it was really interesting as you guys helped kit that out, how much stuff I had I didn't need that I have like 3 or 4 or 5 things because they're in different boxes
Yeah.
and stacked in different places because I had no way to organize it
So
efficiently.
It's amazing to me because, like, you know, Keith obviously basically he obviously shoots for a living, but he takes care of people for a living. Like that's
Yeah.
part of the job is to help out. So like in his truck are 3 sets of extra rain gear and extra
Cold weather
cold
gear.
weather gear,
And-
like to the extreme. Not just like decent cold weather gear for you. There's decent cold weather gear for 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
If you're because I mean you're going to shoot in the rain and the snow and the whatever. That's just the way those matches work. And it's amazing to me how much stuff you have for other people
Yeah.
to take care of them.
I mean, not only did you have like loaner rifles, but like every little bit and bob that you would need for the rifle and, you know, like demo stuff. It was a lot. And again, in something where, you know, I've seen like Laurel's load out, you know, you've already got a lot of stuff, you know, you
have all your gear.
yeah.
And
Plus,
then plus enough gear for at least one other person and enough backup gear for yourself.
yeah.
And then enough like miscellaneous stuff for like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
It's amazing that community is like that where you know, it's not just where there are enough people in there that it's not just you.
Yeah.
You know, it's being able to help the other people in the community and new people coming in and stuff like that. It's a really interesting group.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And so how many pieces of gear did you loan out this weekend? Because I watched you loan out a mag.
I fixed 4 rifles during the match where someone had a case head separation and couldn't get it out and couldn't get it extracted. So I went through. And
He's also a gunsmith, a very, very well-known gunsmith. For those of you that aren't familiar, Ice Rifles is where Keith does his work under.
when I'm able to be home.
Yeah. When you're
it's
home
kind of a
smithing.
balance.
Yeah.
But I removed some 2 case head separations, which most people don't have the tools to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I had that. Worked on some magazines. There's probably 10 people that I know that I lent parts to, helped.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was, I don't know how many competitors there was, but it was, let's say there was 120, 130. So
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
8% of that particular match, you know.
Yeah.
Normally it's, you know, that had a problem that I was
All
able to
while
make
you're
their
shooting
life
a
better,
match.
right? You know,
That's the kicker.
Not only shooting, all while he ends up placing 4th overall at a national qualifier, which is a pretty good run. Pretty impressive, honestly. But the amount of gear, the video will be interesting because it goes through and, you know, we take a lot of stuff and kind of condense it down into smaller chunks. With a little better accessibility, I hope.
Yeah.
Long term. Did it work out this weekend for you?
It was
Minus finding the stuff.
No,
finding it after all got moved.
I knew it was one or 2 bags, and realistically, with, you know, we'll put labels on it. That'll be something that'll even be more efficient. But no, it was great. Someone needed a level, or they had a timer that wasn't functioning well.
Yeah.
And literally, I knew it was pull the 2 bags down, go right to it.
Yeah.
Here it is. Hand it to them. Set the boxes in the back corner when they get back, and they give them back at the end. Or if they had a problem, I just gave it to them and swapped out their gear for a new one because they're trying to compete. They spent a lot of money to have a good time this weekend, and we don't even care if it's our gear. If it's any gear I can help anybody with, that's the whole goal is to just really support the community that supports us.
Yeah.
Right.
And he does a really good job of that. I mean, I really think obviously you're on the road for them, and that's part of your gig is to help make sure people are taken care of, and they picked a really good person to, I think, execute against that.
Now, before we go any further, dive any more into like general travel stuff and efficiency on the road, would you like to sample some beef jerky, Matt? Because I can see it in your face.
I've already been eating.
Yeah. So
mostly because today's beef jerky, we got 2, but beef jerky 1 is 3-alarm overland, and it's actually bacon.
Yeah.
So it's I couldn't
maybe a best for last situation there. 3-alarm. Wow, that is bacony.
I'm ready for a piece of bacon, Keith.
Yeah. Did those totes come with those things?
Bacon.
Right.
Bacon.
Right.
Wait, we need a jerky tote. We need a jerky tote for sure.
It'd be a large version.
All right. So This is really good because I've had a lot of bacon beef jerky that
Yeah.
I didn't particularly care for.
I was gonna say the texture. A lot of times the bacon beef jerky like falls apart. It just crumbles. And it's almost like, is it like a candied? Like,
Something.
yeah,
It's,
Brown sugar.
yeah,
it's applewood smoked.
yeah.
Applewood smoked style. And this is like, it's really good. Like I'm like, I really
Texture
like
was
this.
key.
Yeah, like everything about it is good. It's sweet,
Yeah.
bacony.
Well, and
Like the bag's empty, and I only gave you guys a little piece.
The bacon sampling started about 10 minutes before we hit record this morning.
I didn't sample any, did you?
No, no.
That's weird.
Three Alarm, thanks again for sending us
All
some.
18 ounces.
Oh my gosh, no, it's only 2 ounces. It's only 2 ounces. Don't do that to me. It was so good.
But yeah, no, thanks for hooking us up with a box. And we still have your
That's really
coffee for a video that we're working on. Actually, this weekend, I was using my coffee kit, my truck coffee kit that I feel pretty dialed in on. It became our
Okay.
cabin coffee kit. But Three Alarm also has great coffee that we'll be having in an upcoming video.
No joke. I've not probably said this very many times, but you should order this stuff. This is really
Yeah, that
good.
one's really good.
I mean, like this is like
That one and the carne asada, which didn't even make it to the podcast.
we didn't even get it here.
No, it didn't even make it out of the shop. Both of those have been really good. They've all been good out of the Three Alarm box that we got. But the carne asada and that bacon one.
Right, because the dill pickle was interesting.
Yeah.
And was surprisingly, I was surprised it.
Yeah. And then
I
we
didn't- I thought I
killed
was not going to love that one.
the black pepper brisket. That one went like that. Yeah. So this is Mingy or Mingwa out of Winchester, Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Paris, Kentucky.
Yeah.
This is actually my wife's favorite brand of beef jerky. She likes their original. But
I do too.
our friend Steve, DMV Nomads on Instagram, was at the flea market. He had recently been in Boone, North Carolina, or near there, at a place called the Jerky Outpost. And we're actually going to reach out to them. He said that he has some of his own brand he wants to send us to review. But Steve was like, hey, I picked a bunch up, picked some bags. I've never had the barbecue from these fine folks. So Keith, for me, on a texture basis, the Mingy is the top for jerky. Like I want something you have to work at a little bit.
It's way better than I was going to guess. I'm going to be honest. Because I was
A lot of the
thinking,
barbecue ones are like overpowering. It's
Right.
like drinking.
way too much barbecue. Way too much barbecue. It's a lot of salt, though.
Yeah. That's what they're known for.
Yeah.
That's actually how they kill the cows. They just shove them into a pit of salt.
Roll them around
Yeah.
and then jerky.
I like that the barbecue doesn't overpower it.
Well,
Like it's just subtle enough.
It's
But it
great
is
that we
very
get.
salty.
It's great that we get a third opinion because normally it's only the two of us. Because
yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever, maybe I've had like their teriyaki before, like way back before they changed their bags and stuff. Because we almost always just get the original, but that's really good.
Have you ever made jerky?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, I have 2 deer quarters still in the freezer for our jerky project.
yes, so I'm thinking this year, and we need to really get our crap together. But we're going to end up with crop damage permits because it's insane. Crop damage permits won't open up for another 2 months. I think it's
Oh.
2 months.
Yeah.
I think it's like 1st of September, and then they run clear through April.
Which they run like a doe season here in September. That blew my mind when I first moved here. It was like,
Wow.
you get, it's like you can shoot a doe with anything you want the whole month of September.
And we have a monster Hunters for the Hungry program here.
Yeah.
Like a really, really, really active Hunters for the Hungry program.
Yeah.
It's like they'll actually come and drop off coolers at your. If you field dress it and you put it in the cooler, they'll come pick it up every day.
Huh.
Any day, all you have to do is call them, and they come pick it up, and they
I
take
knew
it to
the Hunters for the
processor
Hungry
that
is
day.
big, but I didn't know they had that.
And the
That's really-
state processes it too.
So no, it's Hunters for the Hungry. So it's its own. It's a private organization.
Yeah.
You know,
Nonprofit.
yeah, it's a
kinda-
nonprofit, and I believe it's statewide, or maybe even bigger than that. I'm
Yeah,
not
no, I
sure,
think it
but
is,
know
yeah.
that like it goes to them, they process it. Inspected facilities process it, and then it gets donated to all the food banks.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's a pretty good program.
And on that note, I think we've talked on the podcast too that we have had a lot of bear. And then mange has been really bad here,
Yep.
which is, again, kind of an overpopulation problem. But we had one on our game camera a couple weeks ago. I don't think we've recorded since then, that had him 2 nights in a row and didn't get a 360 view of him, but looked really healthy.
Yeah. So we had the same thing. We've had a couple really healthy young bears on our game camera.
Oh,
again,
he was
which
not young.
good.
This was a big
Oh,
boy.
this is a good.
Oh,
yeah.
like
no, these were both yearling.
no, he was probably like that at the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Because when he stood up,
Yeah.
he was right in front of one of the game cameras, and it was like the top of his ears, and it's like chest level for me. Beef jerky, bacon, wildlife made from wildlife into wildlife that you don't make jerky from necessarily.
Yeah, they make bear jerky.
I mean, if you believe in yourself, you can.
You can jerky anything, right?
Yeah.
If you believe in yourself.
Yeah, actually, I know a guy that does rendered bear fat every year. It's like a big project, like old school renders it down. Yeah.
Bear Grease.
Yeah.
One of my favorite podcasts.
Yep.
Actually, is it Bear Grease? What's the one that they do? That's the one they do that I like. Yeah. Clay
Like the deep dive, Clay,
Yeah.
Clay, and
Did you ever listen to those?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Those are my favorite road trip podcasts. Like
Yeah.
I'll save like the 4 series, the 4-part series. It's like
Plot hounds.
an hour and a half long, right, on the history of plot hounds or
Yeah.
the Mississippi River flood or whatever. Those are some of my favorite travel.
I mean, the Eastern Cougar. That's like a Hall of Fame episode for them.
Yeah, the Daniel Boone,
Yeah.
the Long Hunters.
Which, speaking of, did you see there's a new book come out in that series, The Mountain Men?
No.
Yeah.
So have you listened to the Long Hunters book? I know you're not a reader, but
I have not.
It is fantastic.
it is really
Yeah,
good.
it's the history of the American, so it's the whitetail, the long
Right.
hunter. Like
Yeah.
it's Steve Rinnella's books have all been really good. I enjoyed his The American Bison, and then the long hunter / whitetail, and then they just released the Mountain Men series, or the one on the Mountain Men. Yeah. So Keith, let's bring it back around. So you obviously spend, because when we talk about like your days on the road, you go nationwide, right? Like there's very few states you probably don't hit in a 12-month period, right?
Yeah.
This year you're hanging out a little closer to home.
A little closer. I mean, what I started in Oklahoma, I think,
Okay.
and then went to Iowa, and then to Virginia,
Yeah.
and then
Ohio's home, by the way.
Yeah.
Ohio's home,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Just recently we're in Pennsylvania.
I was
Now
in
you're
Michigan
back here.
last weekend, and now
Michigan
I'm
last
here
weekend.
in Virginia.
Virginia again.
I think I have a week
Off, and then you're in Idaho?
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yeah, I was just saying
On
that
the-
you guys.
on the border of Utah, Wyoming. border.
Yep.
So you're out there. and
Yeah, I was
then
just saying that
you're-
you guys get out there for some matches. Yeah.
Yeah, because then
Then New York, I think, is next after that.
Yeah.
Like upstate
Oh, cool.
Catskills.
Yeah. Not a bad summer destination.
That I'll tell you what, like just like being in Upper Michigan, no humidity, nice
Yeah.
and cool. In the middle of summer, being in Upper New York is
Is nice.
kind of a nice
Yeah.
place to be.
And I doubt you're going, but I was trying to talk Laurel into going. There's an Iceland match this year. That's cheap to get to because Iceland Air flies there for like $300.
You mentioned that, and I wasn't planned for that, but
I mean, like that would be I don't know. That would be one
Yeah.
I would be. I was
I'm not sure what month that is.
August, like end of August-ish, I think. I don't remember, but that would be the perfect time to be in Iceland. 'cause
Yeah.
it'd probably be 70 and
Because we were there for a very short period last May,
yeah.
and it was a little chilly and real misty
Yeah.
for the 2 hours we
But
were.
I bet in August it's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would seem like that would be a fun one to go to.
Yeah.
And a reasonable flight.
Cheap.
Out of
not
Raleigh-
reasonable, cheap.
So, well, going back, like obviously your gear, helping people out, loaner gear, prepare stuff. But when you're just on the road, like one thing, very much appreciate this about Keith is Keith, you try to eat healthy when you're on the road because obviously it's easy to trip fall into the pit that is, gas station wizard finger hot dogs and
Roller roulette.
yeah. Yeah. So
Nothing like a good tube steak now. Come on.
yeah. You've got a whole seat back panel now dedicated to like snacks and stuff like that. So kind of what's your like, what's your ranking of like things you try to stay on top of? What's important when you're, driving to, the other side of the country or whatever to compete?
As far as what I eat,
Or no, just like, what's important, like organization, food, like, sleep. Here, let me give you an example. Matt and I have very different philosophies on like getting on the road. I will wake up at 2 and drive all day long in order to get in somewhere, have dinner, hang out a little bit, go to sleep. Matt, on the other hand, is like,
I will leave at 5.
we should leave at 5 p.m.
and drive all night.
and we'll drive until we can't keep our eyes open and pray to God there's a hotel.
That is my
Because
math.
we've done that a couple of times.
Right.
And you know
And then
what?
we'll wake
Sometimes
up,
there
have a
isn't
good
one.
breakfast, finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a hotel.
If there always is a hotel somewhere, it just
We drove
takes us
halfway
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, halfway across Missouri before we found one once.
Yeah, and we were stopping like 3 hours outside of town, and it ended up being like 6 before we found one.
Yeah.
It's evolved over the years a lot.
Right. I mean, you've
In the
obviously...
beginning, when I was bass fishing, like literally I would get off work at 9 o'clock at night and drive all night, halfway the next day to get there, and then get on the boat and start fishing.
Yeah.
And then I would leave a 4-day fishing tournament and drive 24 hours back home and sleep an hour and a half alongside the road and make that happen. And then, but the recovery time was a whole lot easier 20 years ago than it is now.
Yeah.
But that was kind of how I traveled.
Yeah.
Now, because what we do in the shooting world, there's a lot of mental capacity you need. You need to be able to process more than one thing at a time. You need to process 3, 4, 5 things at a time. And from a competition standpoint, I had to change that. So like if I'm making a 15, 16 hour drive, I will typically knock as much out as I can the first day.
Yeah.
And then try and shut the truck down between 10 and noon the next day, or 10 and midnight the next day, and try and get a good night's sleep before the practice day.
Yeah.
We typically have a day of practice. Try to shorten that day up as much as possible. Do what I need to do to check my gear, help everybody else out, and then eat a quick big dinner. And then try and get to bed as early as possible and put as many hours of sleep.
I was hoping you'd talk about that because I know you've been here for matches before and try to have like a bit of a down afternoon, stuff like that to recover. Because traveling 16 hours is not easy on you mentally or physically. And for the 2 days later, you're going to have shoot ever how many stages. That is a workout again, mentally and physically. So having some sort of like a recovery day in between. I can definitely see where that's a boon to your kind of performance.
The mental mistakes just become less. And then the ability to process looking at the wind in between shots and those little, typically you can go shoot and just go through the process, but it doesn't slow down as much if you're not recovered.
Yeah.
So if it slows down more, you can take and look at the wind and think about that in between.
Yeah.
You're doing 7 things at once instead of only being able to do 2 or 3.
Yeah. No, makes sense.
And really the amount of sleep definitely relates to that. Actually, my heart rate changes differently. Like I started tracking.
Oh, yeah.
I started doing everything I could to see what I could be to be a better competitor.
Yeah.
And then I bought my Garmin watch, right? And then I started tracking that. And I find after I get that stronger sleep, that my heart rate is a slower wave as I go to amp things up. And I think that I'm tapping into my adrenaline less to cover for my lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Or tapping into it at a steadier level instead of having to spike it.
Yeah, because people that may not be familiar with like the precision shooting world, like those matches are definitely not it's a sprint and a marathon, I guess, because it's
mentally it's a marathon.
Yeah.
And physically it's
sprints because you're like
90 seconds of high speed.
But you're out there all day long. And then when it's go time for when you're shooting a stage, and then pack up,
move to the next one,
walk ever how far with all your gear and do it again. And then you rinse and repeat that, a dozen times or whatever.
It's rarely not a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
Right. You're up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And you're out the door as fast as you can. And then you try and get to the match, and then you're organizing your gear, and then you have briefs, and then, like I say, you're on your feet, you're in the sun, you are not able, or the rain, or the snow. And I think it's rained every match I was at this year, or snowed. But you are always in the elements.
Yeah.
Never taking a seat or a break.
Yeah.
And still having a process at a high level.
Yeah.
And when you're not shooting, you're watching the wind and watching every leaf and trying to formulate a game plan.
Because these matches basically are 400 to say 1,200 yards. I know there's some matches with rounds as long as a mile. Matter of fact, the Hornady match in a couple of weeks has got shots as far as a mile, right?
Absolutely.
And that's probably the longest thing.
In a lot of wind.
Yeah, in a lot of wind. And that's the same thing. That's like, you're carrying what? I don't know. Laurel carries probably way too much gear, but you're carrying 40 pounds of gear.
I'm sure I carry more than that. I mean,
40 pounds of gear, not counting a rifle.
Right.
20 pounds of rifle, let's say, a tripod.
8 pounds of tripod.
So say you're carrying 65, 70 pounds of gear total. And like the firing line at Hornady is a couple miles.
I would say,
A couple miles.
Probably a mile and a half up the mountain and then back down the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you end up on, and that's an extreme probably as far as that goes. But, it's 70 pounds, 3 miles, plus all the shooting in between.
5,000 feet.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, no, I mean, and then, you get back in the truck, like you said, drive, go back home for 2 days, turn around and do it again. Like,
Yeah. That's a lot for sure.
Yeah, no, and then anything else outside of like, making sure you focus on your recovery to kind of like get the most out of it. Because I think that's important for like people on vacation, like people that are, we've done hammer down trips, but even if you're trying to enjoy yourself, if you're just like constantly exhausted from the driving,
Right.
you don't have.
You don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way less fun.
Try and get there, get as close there as you can, and then try and ease in from there.
Yeah.
And then being outfitted in the truck well, like I try not to stop. Like every stop's another 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So when you take or 20 minutes to a half hour, like, so if I can fill the fuel tank up and have everything I need to keep rolling until I need to fill the fuel tank up again, that cuts 2 hours off the end of my trip.
Yeah, I know, which, at the end of the trip, you would gladly have those 2 hours back.
Right. So,
man, Matt.
I stop a lot.
Matt does stop a lot. I was going to say on the way back yesterday, we stopped at a Sheetz, and it was a repeat of when we went to Sheetz on the way to Andy's the other day. I felt like I was trying to get to a gas pump for 10 minutes and then get back out of the gas pump for 10 minutes. Just a zoo. Yeah. You're right. I mean, it's hard, even if it is just a fuel stop, like more than, you're going to burn 20 minutes if you're lucky. So,
Yeah.
But you get like a wild range. You were telling Logan and I, what's your fuel range on that truck?
600 miles typically.
Yeah.
So 600 miles to a tank, and it's gasoline.
Close to
motor.
Matt if you divide by 4, maybe 5. Close to your truck.
4.
Yeah.
I'd say 4.
Yeah.
It's about the range I get on my truck right now.
Yeah.
Now the Dodge does. The Dodge will go 600, but our other Dodge will go 600 miles. Mine will not. It's good for 2, so maybe divide by 3.
Yeah.
But I stop probably every 150 just because I stop.
Yeah.
Well, the old van, it was much less. I got 300 miles, and I had to stop at 220 to make sure I could find the next stop. Right?
Yeah, you had a reasonably well built Ford. What were those Ford? What are the new Ford?
Transit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never saw it. Yeah.
Ford Transit that.
It was very, very stable and striking gear.
Yeah, it did a really good job when it totaled itself. Of keeping everybody in the van safe, which was kind of amazing, honestly, because there's a lot of stuff in there.
If you all don't remember, I know Matt's talked about it before, but going back to deer population, there was at least 2 less deer in Kansas.
Two nice deer less in Kansas, yes.
Later that day.
One very, very, very nice deer.
Yeah.
It's
just
no longer.
jumped in front of the hood. Like that was crazy. I mean, like 0 time, just like out of no place, like dropped out of the sky by aliens in front of the van. And you're like, holy,
Yeah.
And that was crazy. And
then what, like,
I don't even know, not 200 yards down the road as you're trying to stop and the headlights dangling.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the headlight dangling on my side because I was in the passenger seat. It's dangling on my side of the truck and it's pointing out into the field. And it was like a target. Because
the deer just homing.
Deer, I mean, like it was like a heat-seeking deer. He like came out of this field over a ditch and like just head-butted that and smashed in the side of the door.
Yeah.
Caved the door in, and everything pretty well stayed put.
Yeah.
And
Except the mirror
Well,
and the headlight.
well, and the right, and the radiator and the transmission.
But you guys
fluid.
still made it
The
to the
whole
match, right?
Front end got pushed in. That was for sure. Its last. I mean, we're what 2 miles away or a mile and a half away, and
Hey, still
And
got
there
you
was
there.
no place to pull over.
Yeah.
it was done. I mean, there was nothing left of that. Like it was not going anyplace else ever
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So curious. I mean, because we've talked van stuff. Our friends this weekend that we were hanging out with have a Sienna.
Oh,
I was like, man, Matt would be jealous.
I would be jealous. I love
Dual sliders. Yeah.
dual sliders. It's the way to go.
But so kind of like between the truck and the van, what's your preference now, Keith? You've had some time with the truck.
I really like driving a truck better.
Okay. Yeah. Just purely from a driver experience.
Yeah,
I've seen
the van would essentially change lanes whenever the wind blew really hard.
Right. Yeah.
It got stuck in wet grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a high top 2-wheel drive
Oh.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Transit. And one of the early ones too, because you had
was.
that for a number of years.
It was an
Driving that for a
18, I
number of
think.
years. Yeah.
And in like nasty winds, like when you go through
Yeah.
Kansas, you could hear the doors go, whoosh, whoosh, as they
Yeah.
pop open
Yeah.
as the van's twisting and the doors,
Yeah.
top of the doors
Yeah. I know what
cracking
you mean.
open.
I used to drive a high top transit passenger at my old job sometimes or trips, and man, people would be like, "Why are you so tense?" And be like, "Because there's 45-mile-an-hour gust on the interstate. That's why."
Oh, it would change lanes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was pretty crazy. And I had a Nissan high top before. The
Oh, the N series or Q series, whatever.
Envy.
Yeah.
That thing was awesome.
Oh, really?
Like it was easiest thing to work on. Never had to work on it.
yeah.
It held up to
'Cause they
the
killed that
wind.
off
Never
recently.
got stuck.
Yeah.
Like it was just a fantastic vehicle.
Yeah.
Probably one of the better vehicles I've owned. The truck, the wind don't affect it.
Yeah.
Nothing affects it. It doesn't get stuck.
You have a big trailer you pull sometimes too.
I have a big trailer that's
The van wouldn't have pulled that.
it never would have pulled that.
Yeah.
And it'll be a mobile showroom that I'll be
Yeah.
hauling around here in the future. We're finishing out now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, more room for more gear, more kit,
More raincoats.
more stuff, more raincoats
More raincoats.
He's actually going to sell them, just a rack of raincoats.
Right.
in multiple sizes.
Yeah.
I mean, because not everybody's my size. I'm just saying.
Some
I do have- I
MDT
do
branded
You should
rain.
have. That's really. You should have like a few.
It should be branded.
raincoats that you can lend out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you can rent.
There you go. Yeah.
Or take a deposit.
Yeah.
$10. You can use it. I'll give you $10 back at the end of the
Yeah.
match if you bring it back.
Yeah.
The cool thing about our community is people hunt you down to make sure you have everything.
You're okay.
Like there's,
Yeah. No, it's
we lose nothing.
Yeah.
Like here's a rifle and ammunition, and it shows the backup.
Yeah.
Like here's all these parts and they all show back up.
Yeah. That's
at the end of the
something
match. Yeah.
Every time.
that I find interesting about some communities. This just comes to mind. Blade Show was last weekend. First time I haven't went in a while, and actually did see a post where a knife was picked up off table, stolen. Which is honestly, I couldn't remember hearing about that before at Blade Show, which is kind of incredible.
Right. Because you have a bazillion people there.
And you talk about different trade shows, especially direct to consumer. Blade has got to be one of the highest on like a SKU base
Yeah.
of like actual items on the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was actually a knife picked up off table. Somebody put it in their bag or whatever. Was like, I don't know if I actually remember hearing about that. And obviously,
Ever before, yeah.
yeah, I don't follow all the knife makers. I don't know all the but like of the circle that I know, I was like, I don't really remember that happening before. Which kind of going back to the community thing, like that's kind of wild. That there's no way you can police that for 3 days straight. Or same thing at a match where
Here's
there's
$200. Here's $1,000. Here's $1,500. Here's a $9,000 rifle,
and there's 130 people all doing this.
and it all comes back.
And you figure there's probably 300 or 400 total. By
Oh,
the time
true.
you have ROs and family or friends or whatever
Yeah.
that's there.
Yeah.
It a lot. This match this weekend probably had 250 people wandering around.
Yeah.
250 to 300 people there on and off through the whole time.
No, it's cool to be a part of a community that you can kind of that level of trust and
Yeah, I'm sure. There's no doubt in my mind. There's probably hardly I know we've never locked a door at a match ever.
yeah.
I mean, most
Definitely at the hotel rooms.
Well, yeah, that's a different story. But like at a match itself, like
Yeah.
I know Laurel doesn't doesn't lock anything up, and mostly because she's like, "Hey, could you grab?" Or if you need something, oh, that's in
Right.
my
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Open up the drawer on the right. It's right
Yeah,
there in the back. Go ahead and grab it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And
Grab
there's
it.
my wallet laying right next to it.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
you're talking
and
the
it's a
hotel
non-issue.
thing. That is a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
Brandy's stepdad recently he travels a lot for work, kind of in the construction realm. Like usually where he's at, there's a lot of construction, road construction, and had a truck break in recently, and it was like an absolute like laundry list of like break-ins that night, like 150 vehicles hit or something like that.
That's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
you don't see that in that community. It's
No.
super helpful and really an interesting group. We got anything else exciting we want to? Oh, we need a code. Snowshoe.
Snowshoe. Discount code is Snowshoe. We'll run to the next podcast, 15% off, all caps, per usual. The folks have been using those. We appreciate that. The folks that have not been spoiling those, appreciate that more.
For sure.
Yeah.
But discount code for this week,
Yeah.
Snowshoe.
Maybe drop a comment
All
like,
caps.
thanks for the discount code at the end or something like that if you do want to comment about it. I think that's it. Keith, thanks for stopping by, seeing us on your way in and way out. Again, kind of going back, you spent a lot of time on the road, so thanks for extending the trip a couple hours. I think this was your first stop on the way in, and I'm assuming you're heading. Yeah.
I'll be heading. Yeah. Heading back this afternoon.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thanks. And letting us get out your truck and spending some time chatting with us. You really are a pro traveler, and it's obvious. And you do have a lot of stuff, but like it was well thought out, well put together. And hopefully our gear helps you organize that even more so.
But now I have a lot of space.
Yeah.
Yeah, more-
That truck was packed to the top with
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I have
yeah, there's definitely
A lot
way
of
more
space.
room.
Yeah.
Way more room.
Well, I know we helped you eliminate several totes / boxes / so if anything, it's just more accessible now. So
yeah.
Yeah. Well, good deal.
Yeah, and be on the lookout for that video in a couple weeks featuring Keith's truck, kitting out those new truck vault drawers. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
All right. Well, we're gonna